Okay. Hello, everyone. Very good afternoon to everyone joining the Zoom call today. So today we are observing World Mental Health Day. So the World Federation for Mental Health has founded this day. We observe this day every 10th of October to raise awareness. So this year, every year the World Federation for Mental Health comes up with themes for every year the Mental Health Day to observe it. So this year, um, they've come up with a theme through a global vote. The theme is "It is time to prioritize mental health in the workplace." So this is a call to action worldwide, considering the amount of time the adults spend working in their waking hours, other than any other activity. And as we see, in a countless ways, work is a source of meaning, purpose, and joy for many of us. So, this conversation around mental health in the workplace has taken a fresh urgency in 2024, seeing the recent uh, incidents that we see that has been highlighted in the recent times because of the extreme work pressure that people had. So, I would just want to welcome you all again. And today we have a panel um, who will be discussing this topic. So, I'm honored to be moderating this crucial conversation on mental health at workplace. I am Sharon Prasad. I am a counselor and a psychotherapist. And today we have with us in our panel, I would begin by introducing Dr. Nishta Dalwani. She is a psychiatrist and a psychotherapist. Welcome,
Hi,
ma'am.
hi, Sharon.
Yeah,
Thanks. Thanks for having me on this program.
sure. Then we have Dr. Vinita Matthew. She is welcome, Vinita ma'am. And we have Trupti Natekar. She is a behavioral and career counselor. Welcome, Trupti. We have
Thank
also
you so much for having.
Sure. We also have Sujata Jaiprakash. She is a family and youth counselor. Welcome, Sujata.
Thank you, Sharon. Thanks for having me.
And last but not least, we have Dhruvi Javeri. She is a clinical psychologist and psychotherapist. Welcome, Dhruvi.
Thank you, and I'm pleased to share this space with you all.
We also are thrilled to have you all with us today. So to start off, also, before we start, I would tell the audience that um, we want to hear from you guys as well. So feel free to submit your questions, and we'll address it at the end of the session. So you can always use the chat box to type in your questions. And we will address it at the end of the session. Yes. So also, before we start, can we also know where are you all joining from? Can you just type it in the chat box so we'll know what do you do? What is your background and where are you joining from? You can just start typing it in the chat box. Yeah. Mumbai, Ramona, yes. What do you do? Like, if you also can tell us, because we will be discussing on the workplace entrepreneur. Okay. Yes, so continue to put in your responses in the chat box. And Rebecca from Mumbai, she's a French tutor. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Yes. So continue to put in and we'll just start off. And to start off, ask Dr. Nishta, uh, ma'am, as a psychiatrist, can you share with our participants today in layman terms what exactly is stress and what happens in our body when one is stressed?
Yeah. Stress is a natural reaction to specific life events and demands. So it's a state of worry or mental tension whenever we are faced with a difficult situation in life. So stress can be of two types. It could be a positive stress. We all need some amount of positive stress. For example, exams for students is a stress, but it's required, otherwise they wouldn't study. But if they had exams every day, it turns out to be a negative stress because then it causes performance anxiety. So stress is of two types, positive and negative. Stress can also be an acute stress or a chronic stress. So an acute stress is an event like just a current event wherein have you had an argument with someone that causes a stress, or you're just before the exam causes a panic attack. Then there are chronic stressors in our life. So some physical illness, chronic ailment, marriage, job issues, financial issues. So stress a lot of problems with us, both acute and chronic stress. Nowadays, of course, because of the taboo, people don't approach, don't seek help initially. So it's very important for us to identify the initial symptoms of stress so that we can nip it in the bud and it doesn't go on to cause later higher mental and physical issues. So when do you seek help? So when do you actually ask for help? So the first time is when you're feeling too overwhelmed, when you're not able to cope with the current situation. Is the time that you're getting panic attack and you just don't know how to handle it. It's the time you need to ask for help. Second time is when your physical health is, you're having symptoms of, some physical symptoms. Third is when the stress is ongoing and you realize that, no matter how hard you try, you're not able to cope with it. So that is when you need some professional help. And then when we find very often patients, start taking alcohol and start abusing drugs. So that is the later stage when they are not able to handle day-to-day stress, they resort to these measures. And so that is the time when they come to the doctor or to the counselor for asking for help. So what does stress do to our body? So stress has a lot of effects on our body. It causes physical, psychological, and behavioral symptoms. Now, all these symptoms, we all know that there are two systems. We have the central nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. So, a lot of the issues which are caused by stress are mediated by our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So, the autonomic nervous system comes into activity whenever there is a stress. So when there is a stress in life, there are two types of responses. One is either you fight the stress or you run away. So it's a fight or a flight response. Both are triggered in our nervous system. So the physical symptoms that we experience when we are faced with stress are aches and pains. I have a lot of patients coming to my clinic with I have referrals from physicians, long-term body ache, not recovering on being on multiple painkillers for many, many years, and they still have. So what is a somatic complaint? The body, you have aches and pains all over the body. The second complaint which we see is they feel tired no matter how much of a rest they have taken. There's physical exhaustion, mental exhaustion, sleep is disturbed, insomnia. So either they stay awake till late or some people even oversleep. So it's both. You can have excessive sleep as well as your sleep can just, you may not sleep, you may have intermittent awakening in middle of the night and start overthinking and then not be able to sleep again. The other symptom is headache, dizziness, shakiness in the body. The BP goes high, there's muscle tension, jaw clenching. People also come with irritable bowel syndrome, stomach, digestive issues, nausea, acidity, very common we see nowadays. And especially nowadays with these online jobs, no physical movement, also a long-term stress leads to reduced desire and also problems there. And a weak immune system. So a person who's stressed out is more prone to develop physical and mental illness also because of a weak immune system. They don't eat properly. They don't take care of their basic sleep, appetite, and their day-to-day exercises and work time schedule. They are not able to manage. So the immune system goes for a toss and we get them, frequent cough, cold, viral infection, stomach infection, etc. Because chronic stress also causes a lot of wear and tear in the body. So that also affects you. The psychological symptoms of stress are anxiety, irritability, depression, panic attack. The behavioral symptoms of stress are alcohol use disorders. Nowadays, I see a lot of youngsters also abusing weed, drug addiction, gambling, and internet browsing, mobile addiction, overeating, a lot of obesity we see around. All these are stress induced. The immune system gets affected, leading to problems like arthritis, psoriasis, fibromyalgia. Digestive system gets affected, causing acidity, ulcers, irritable bowel syndrome. The cardiovascular system gets affected, so you get high BP, heart rate goes high, patients get palpitation, fainting episodes, and the reproductive system also gets affected due to the stress. So infections, PCOD, polycystic ovarian disease, and infertility. So these are the major things we see, but the commonest problem that I see in my clinic is panic attack. Patients presenting with a lot of anxiety, health anxiety, and how the stress causes depression and problems of anxiety and depression due to chronic long-term stress.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Nishta. Thank you for shedding light on how stress, how to actually distinguish stress as well, because some amount of stress is needed for us to motivate us to do what we need to do, and you've given us a description of how it affects our body psychologically, clinically as well. So here at this point, I would, want to ask Dr. Vinita, who's a family physician and counselor. Do you see patients in your practice? Uh, do you see patients who have symptoms of stress, like how Dr. Nishta has described the symptoms of stress? So was my
Yeah, yeah.
question clear, Dr. Vinita?
No, can you repeat the question again? Sorry, I missed it.
Okay.
I think my net
So
went off. Yeah. Yeah.
I was just saying that now that Dr. Nishta had described how the stress affects the body, psychologically, even clinically, the symptoms that she has seen patients come with to her. As a family physician, do you have patients who come to you who have stress? I mean, showing symptoms of stress.
Yeah. Yes, of course, I have like what Dr. Nishta already shared. So many symptoms, common symptoms that we continue to see in the OPD, and she's already shared a lot of symptoms. But I think the most important thing that we have to notice is that when there is stress in the person, like it affects the whole person. It's not just one aspect. So we tend to just look at you know, the emotional aspect, the physical aspect, but it's in the holistic manner is what we need to look at when you look at a patient. We
Mm-hmm.
have to see that the stress is leading to the body going into so much of hyperactivity that the person's different organs of the body are affected. Like for example, we've seen very young people who they have no other symptoms, but then suddenly they end up with stroke, or a cardiac episode where they have a heart attack. And we've had patients admitted here who come with a heart attack, and they had no previous history, but suddenly they end up with this kind of thing. So this is and when we take a history and we come to know what kind of a lifestyle they've lived, especially the workplace pressure, we realize that the work has been a source of stress, which they have kind of not understood, they've probably neglected, and then they end up on with severe issues which causes their health to deteriorate. In fact, it ends up in the hospital bed where they have either a stroke or a cardiac episode. We also have a lot of patients with headaches, and when we take a detailed history, understand the family background, and see what's going on, we realize that they've been, like Dr. Nisha said, chronic stress has been a factor that has played on this patient's health, and then affected their the outcome, the health outcome of the person. So these are some of the things I think she has already covered a lot of the symptoms, but these are some of the real cases that we've seen in our OPDs when we are taking the history of the patient when they commit acute problems. So yeah, that's what we symptom, and our whole perspective is to give a person a holistic care, whole person care,
Sorry, my internet is,
I think all our internets went off for a minute. Yeah.
yeah. Uh, okay. I didn't hear what you said in the last.
Yeah, so I think other participants may have heard me, I'm not sure, but I was just talking about how uh, the emotional, the mental health of the person, especially chronic stress can have an effect on the bodies of a person. Like, for example, how we've seen patients having chronic stress, especially in the workplace, and then them ending up with a stroke, maybe very young patients ending up with stroke or a myocardial infarction, like a heart attack. And this is all related because our body is in constant state of stress where where the hormones are being created in such a high rapid rate that it is causing problems on different parts of our body. And that is what we see regularly happening in our OPDs. So that's what, yeah, I wanted to share that. That's the reason why we need to have these conversations and how important it is to deal with stress at an early stage.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much, Dr. Vanita, for sharing. Just want to ask the audience, if are you all okay with the medium of English or Hindi में बोलना होगा? So we have Dr. Prashant joining us from Mumbai, uh, Madhura Kadam joining from Mumbai. She's a physiotherapist. Yeah, just wanted to check with you, with the audience, if they're okay with English. We can also
Yeah,
बीच बीच में हिंदी बोलेंगे. English is
Hmm.
okay. Okay,
Yeah, thank you.
Prakash from Mumbai. Yeah, okay. So right now, Dr. Nishta and Dr. Vinita, you've shared from a clinician's perspective, from a doctor's perspective. Also want to ask Sujata. She is a family and child counselor. What would you want to tell our audience here? Um, how um, they can tell what the early signs of stress would be if they were to see that okay, is this is time for me to meet a doctor or a counselor.
Mhm.
What signs would help them to easily find out, identify that this is something that they're going through and they need help. Yeah, go
Right.
on.
Thank you, Sharon. So, what we heard from both the doctors is when the person has become a patient and they've reached the hospital in a
Right.
situation where it is so critical. But there are
Mm-hmm.
certain signs that you can see because this does not happen overnight. It is a
Right.
process that starts slowly and then it gets to a point where the sorry, person reaches the hospital for treatment. So there are some simple signs that you can look for, but whenever we talk about signs, we shouldn't jump into a conclusion that a person is a patient of mental health or whatever. We should not brand them in such a way. But there are some simple signs that we could keep in mind and make an observation in a person where there is a change of pattern in their sleep. That's number one, because when patients or clients come to us, they say they cannot sleep or they have difficulty sleeping, so that's how they begin conversation. So you can look if the person is sleeping too much or for too many hours or just too little, or they stay up whole night and sleep during the day where they do not have to meet anyone or they do not have conversation with anyone because they are finding it difficult to make conversation. Then the second sign that you can look at is their appetite. There is a change. Either they are eating too much or they are not, or they're eating too little, or
Mm-hmm.
they are not eating at all. So we do get patients who come to us saying they haven't eaten very well in a long time. So they
Mm-hmm.
give up on their food, or you have them overeating, you know. So these are
Mm-hmm.
the small, small signs that happen gradually, and over at the period of time, it becomes a problem where they have to get to a hospital. Then there are concentration issues. They're not able to focus. They're not able to make decisions. So then that is also a problem when you can identify when a person is not making decision. A person who used to make decision is now struggling. And then you can have another thing is what doctors have shared is the risky behaviors, getting into substance abuse or, getting into relationships that temporarily give them joy, but then, it has its own consequences, right? And mood swing, withdrawals from all activities, social activities. These are small, small things that you can make sure you're watching for and not jump to conclusion, but then, see the pattern that the person is going through. That would be helpful.
Yes, Sujata, thanks for sharing. So to sum up, what Sujata is saying is, if you see someone, um, you know, who's not having the usual routine. So these are symptoms I think the close ones can identify. If you see unusual routines of your loved ones, if they were sleeping for 6 to 7 hours, but then right now they are not sleeping those many hours of sleeping more than 8 hours, those are signs that you can still look out for, and then just be observant of it. Of course, as Sujata said, we don't have to jump into, okay, anxiety आ गया इसको तो depression and nothing like that, but then just to be observant and keep watch, right? Thank you. So to move on to the next question, this is to Dhruvi. So Dhruvi, you are a clinical psychologist and a psychotherapist. So we want you to tell us how can people maintain work-life balance, because as the theme says, it's about mental health at workplace. So the work-life balance plays a vital role in that as well. So can you share that, and also some tools that our participants can readily use? Yeah.
Right. Hello everyone. Good evening. Sorry, good afternoon. I'm kind of experiencing some positive stress right now as I'm beginning to share something on work-life balance with you, as Sharon has asked me to. Before I proceed, I would like to wish everyone happy World Mental Health Day. And also, I would like you all to just keep a paper and pen with you, because there will be some questions I'll be asking, which I would like you all to note down, as when I come to the tools part, I'll be able to, help you connect that with the work-life balance that I'll be explaining now. And also, I would just like to quickly check in how everyone's feeling. We're halfway there. I'm thankful to Dr. Nishta, Sujata, and Vinita to setting the tone and talking about stress and how it affects physical and medical conditions and psychological as well. So to begin with, I wanted to ask: have you ever skipped lunch to work, took work calls during personal time, attended work meetings during vacations, worked extra hours instead of going home, constantly put off plans to work? And I think this most of us do, work. So if your answer is yes, or or to some of them, or let's say most of them, I'm sure how exhausting it must be, and I understand how extremely tough it must be for you if you're experiencing, distress and burnout to this point. But despite resounding evidence that working long hours can be harmful to both employees and employers, many professionals still struggle to overcome their deeply ingrained habits, to work all day. And so let's discuss, what does it take to free ourselves from these unhealthy patterns, and how work-life balance can help us. So to understand that, let's understand what is work-life balance. So work-life balance is basically feeling in control of how we balance the various demands of all aspects of one's life to support and enable well-being. But there is a glitch here. Work-life balance is not an achievement. We often think that, I need to achieve work-life balance, but you can't achieve it. It's not something like a one-time fix. Work-life balance is more of a process. It's more of a lifestyle. It's like a cycle that you must engage in, continuously as your circumstances and priorities evolve. To start with, to understand that, we need to first pause and denormalize. We have normalized overworking so much that we now have to unlearn that. So to unlearn that, we have to first pause, take a step back, and ask yourself, what is currently causing me stress? unbalance, or dissatisfaction. Okay. And how are these circumstances affecting how you perform and engage with your job? Then how are they impacting your personal lives? What are you prioritizing? What are you sacrificing? What is getting lost? Only after you take a mental pause and acknowledge these factors, then you can begin to tackle them. So it's very important to, answer these questions to yourself, pause and reflect on them to understand where you at the moment. Like, uh, like for instance, I had a client who was an associate at a law firm, and she described hitting rock bottom, and that's when she realized that okay, the work has taken a lot of toll on her, and her mental and physical health. So we use and so if suppose she had paused and denormalized things, or paused and questioned herself, maybe she could have prevent um, to lead to a burnout. So it's possible to take a pause and start rethinking our priorities at any time. And although some professionals may be fine with long work hours, taking time to think through these questions and acknowledge the trade-offs you made, whether intentional or not, is helpful for anyone looking to discover alternative ways of working and living, which comes to the next point, is pay attention to your emotions. Once you've increased your awareness, can you hear me?
Yeah, we just lost you for a minute. Hello?
Start
Yeah.
from there.
Yeah, you can start.
Take a
Okay.
pause is what I said.
Yes. Take a pause.
Yes. Yeah. So it's possible to take a pause and start rethinking your priorities at any time. So that helps me to come down to pay attention to your emotions. Once you've increased your awareness of your current situation, examine how that situation makes you feel. Okay. Ask yourself, do I feel energized? Do I feel fulfilled? Do I feel satisfied? Or do I feel angry, resentful, sad? For example, another case example I have there, in in their current work-life balance, the client was experiencing lack of energy and a lot of negative emotions in the work environment and towards their interest of work as well. So it's very important to have a rational understanding of what priorities you're making, and what is driving you, um, and most importantly, to focus on your emotional reflexivity. That is a capacity to recognize how a situation is making you feel. So it's very important to have awareness of your emotional state, because it's essential, and in order to determine the changes you want in your work and in your life, which takes me to reprioritizing. It's very important to reprioritize our tasks, because many times we fail to prioritize what we really want to do and what we don't want to do. So for that, we'll be definitely talking about time management when we talk about tools. But let's understand about reprioritizing first. Increasing your cognitive and emotional awareness gives us the tools to put things into perspective and determine how our priorities need to be adjusted. Like, again, ask yourself, what am I willing to sacrifice, and for how long? If I've been prioritizing work over family, for example, why do I feel that it is important to prioritize my life in this way? Is it really necessary? Is it really inevitable? What regrets do I already have? And what will I regret if I continue along my current path? So this way, it'll help you to understand where you stand, what are you prioritizing, and what you really need to put things into perspective and prioritize, and then consider your alternatives. So before jumping into solutions, first reflect on the aspects of your work and life that could be different in order to better align with your priorities. Are there components of your job that you would like to see changed? How much time would you like to spend with your family or on hobbies? Um, and lastly, implementing changes. Finally, once we've recognized our priorities, carefully considered the options that could help us improve, it's time to take action now. That can mean it could be something that completely shifts your work environment. such as taking a new role that's designed to be less time demanding, or making some private changes like informally changing your work patterns, maybe sometimes even changing your travel route, or without necessarily attempting to change your your colleagues' expectations. So making sure that when you change your work patterns, you consider how you want to change it. So most importantly, the 5 steps that I spoke about now is not a one-time activity, but rather a cycle of continuous reevaluation and improvement. Especially if you or any of us who are under the influence of an overpowering culture of long work hours. It's easy to step side back into, business as usual, whether that's a conscious or unconscious decision. So, to make these changes, one must continuously remember to pause, connect with their emotions, rethink their priorities, evaluate alternatives, and implement changes throughout their personal and professional lives. So, which takes me to the tools for some self-help strategies for you to maintain stress, and also how which can help you to manage your work as well. So it's like, मैंने वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस के बारे में बात कर लिया, लेकिन अब आप मुझे बोलोगे कि लेकिन मैं स्ट्रेस कैसे मैनेज करूं? पहले वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस तो ठीक है, लेकिन जब मेरा स्ट्रेस ही मैनेज नहीं हो रहा है, तो हाउ विल आई मैनेज माय वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस? So let's come to how to find ways or effective ways to manage our stress. So there are many general strategies that we usually manage our stress. You can share your ways that you manage stress on the chat box. Meanwhile, I'll share the effective ways. So before sharing the effective ways, the general ways are usually like, you talk to your friends sometimes, or most importantly, you push it away. You don't talk about it at all. You repress it, you suppress it, and it kinds of, affects you if you don't communicate about it. So, which leads me to the first tool which is communication. So, have you ever struggled to get your point across in a clear but non-aggressive way? Or do you have a hard time communicating your needs? Assertive communication can be helpful or useful tool for helping us to communicate better and balance our relationships with getting our own needs met. So I'll be stating very briefly 3 types of communication, that is passive, aggressive, and assertive. So passive communication is a person who prioritizes the needs, wants, and feelings of others, even at their own expense. Aggressive communication is a person who expresses only their own needs, wants, and feelings. For them, only their needs and wants and feelings matter. Whereas assertive communication emphasizes the importance of both people's needs and our own. Okay, so I'll give you a quick example. Like suppose your employer tells you that I have a project. You already are, overloaded with work. Okay, and your employer tells you that I have few more projects that I want you to submit by end of this day. So ideally, a passive person would be like, I'll take on all these projects, even though I'm already overwhelmed. So, and the aggressive person would be like, no way, I'm not taking all of these projects. Can't you see I'm overwhelmed? Do it yourself, And an assertive person would be like, I've evaluated that my work is close to full. Do you think we could split these projects up or change their due dates? So if you observe, here the assertive person not only addressed the person's needs, but also their own needs. They were not ready to do the work, but they were willing to find a midway so that way you're politely able to say no and also cater to your own needs as well. And assertive communication is not just about saying no or asking questions. It's also about making eye contact, how you are confident in yourself, and how you're expressing your needs to your employer about how you're feeling. Next up comes time management. So I think that's something we all struggle with. So because especially when there's too much workload. So there is this Eisenhower matrix that we usually follow. It's called it's like a square box where you write down about, so there are four columns. One is important, urgent, which is do it now. The second is important and not urgent, which is decide, schedule time to do it. Third is if your tasks are not important but urgent, so you need to delegate who can do it for you there and there urgently. Then lastly, not important and not urgent tasks, which is delete, eliminate it because it's just wasting your time. Like one of the major about that is, us scrolling on social media. I think that is something that we all struggle with, and that takes a lot of our time. That is something you can delete. That is something that you can, reduce on so that you can have more productive day. Apart from that, if you struggle to procrastinate or you think that you have difficulty in doing any task, so there's one more method which is called Ivy Lee method. So you need to write down 6 most important tasks, okay, for that day. Order by priority, finish number one, and then continue down the list. So suppose if you miss so out of 6, you are able to do only 4 or 5. You shift that one to the next day, and then you add 5 more. So, but there should be only 6 tasks for the day initially if you're struggling with procrastination. So that is something that you can try. Apart from that, we can focus on uh, breathing exercises and physical exercise, because movement is very important and is something that we need to do it regularly. Again, it's a lifestyle change and it's not a one-time fix. Secondly, breathing exercises, something as simple as, like, it would just take a minute of your day and something that you can do easily anywhere. Even right now, if you want, you can do it. All you have to do is breathe in from your nose and exhale from your mouth. And while you're exhaling from your mouth, you either say calm or relax. So this way, you will be able to not only focus on your breath, but also at the same time give your mind a signal that, hey, it's time to calm down, it's time to relax. So you can do this thrice before starting your work, in the middle of the day, or even after finishing your work. And also you can do it by taking breaks, in the day. If you think that work is too much and a lot of thing is getting overloaded, so you can take small breaks, just do some movement around, do some stretching, do this breathing exercise where you just like do this literally and thrice, and it will really help you. Apart from that, uh, focusing on flexibility over rigidity. Your old view would be like discipline means sticking to my routine. But let's be a little more flexible within structure. So this way you can balance a consistent long-term task without feeling trapped. And another thing is progress over perfection. We often focus so much on perfection, and that also can lead us to a lot of stress. But without understanding that there is no thing that can be extremely perfect, right? So like your old view would be like discipline means perfect execution from day one. But now you can change the view as progress over perfection. So accepting that my first try must be okay, and that pressure would be taken off and makes it easier for you to also show up every day. So progress and not perfection kind of keeps you going. So yes, to just summarize, you got to keep track of your tasks, focus on important tasks, stay active to reduce stress, enjoy moments with your loved ones, make time for your activities to enjoy, um, take time away from screens and emails, and decide when to work and when to relax. So I think there are many more tools that I can share. Maybe you can check later on, or you can email us, and we shall share with you the tools that you all can, apply on your daily basis. So yeah, that's it for today.
Yes. Thank you, Dhruvi. Yeah, I was just about to share that. So I know you may get a bit overwhelmed with all the tools that Dhruvi has shared there, but not to worry.
Yeah.
We will have more sessions on specific topics that she mentioned. And
Lastly,
of course, you can always...
sorry to interrupt. I just missed one more point, which is about journaling. So if you noticed during the start of work-life balance, I was asking all questions again and again. So that actually helps you to maintain a journal, like kind of a reflection journal, which helps you not only at your workplace, but also on your personal life. So reflection journal is like more of, maintaining a journaling. End of the week, you write down what worked with you, what didn't work with you. If you're a doctor, like what, medicines are working, what are not working, what worked with my patient, what didn't work with my patient. If you're a psychologist, you write about your reflections of what worked for me, what worked for this client. All these reflections can also help us to improve our skills, be curious, and be flexible. And lastly, to have a concept called, like, I suppose if you have a really long work hours, you can focus on having a self-care Sunday. So every Sunday, it's all about you, because we play a lot of roles, right? All of us, we play a role of a mother, daughter, work, employee, employer, and a lot of other roles. And so that one day is like for you, which is kind a role of self-care where you take care of yourself and your needs. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Louis. Thanks so much for sharing that. I think what stands out and whatever you've shared is the questions for self-reflection and the mindfulness and so much more. Of course, we'll delve into all of that in our upcoming sessions. Uh, so tune in for more such sessions on stress and anxiety and stress management and assertive training and everything that we were saying. One thing I was reminded of was, what uh, Ratan Tata had uh, said. I would just quote him. Of course, may his soul rest in peace. But he had said that he doesn't believe in work-life balance, but in work-life integration. So that's something again Dewey had mentioned that when we strive for perfect work-life balance, that may not happen. So something that he also said was to make work and life meaningful and fulfilling. That they will complement each other. So that's how I wanna finish it off and we're running out of time, but then, yeah, this is a question to Trupti. You being a behavioral and career counselor, Trupti, there must be parents who, on this call as well, who may be concerned for the future of their kids in this stress work environment that we are living in. And as even Dhruv has mentioned, in India, there's the long working hours that happens. It's a matter of concern. So, as a career counselor, as a behavioral counselor, uh, how would you, what advice would you give parents that they can prepare their kids for the corporate world? As you see, we've had recent events of stress-related deaths and that there's been widespread debates about all of this. So yeah, just tell us what you would suggest to parents.
Yes, good evening. Yeah, it is nearly good evening. And thank you for being making me a part of this beautiful discussion. And yes, even though now I have a very limited time frame, but I will try to answer in whatever way I can. Even though what the question that you're asking me is how can parents prepare their children for these highly stressful work environment outside? My answer to that would be please don't prepare them for anything. Okay, let them be. Okay, let them discover things on their own, because that is the main reason as to why all of us now in our growing years ahead, right, say 18 years onwards or even at the younger age, we are experiencing panic attacks, depression, anger issues, all of that, right? And the main reason for that is, we have stopped being ourselves. As kids, parents are constantly want them to do n number of things, be good at n number of things. But in my opinion, it is okay to be normal. Okay, it is okay to have, basic academic performances. It is okay to choose sports over academia. It is okay to choose arts over sports and academia. So it is absolutely fine. What parents ideally should do is, foster a growth mindset. Like, let children experience things on their own, let them make mistakes, and more importantly, let them learn from these mistakes. Don't go into the thing कि हमारे जमाने में हमने ऐसे किया था तो हम हमारी गलतियों से आप सीख लो. It's not possible, right? Unless and until you don't make those mistakes, you will not learn. If you didn't do those mistakes, how would you have learned, right? So it is a very basic philosophy that we all need to follow is, we need to understand to communicate openly, freely, honestly, without the fear of being judged, without the fear of being, oh, am I cool enough? Am I speaking the correct language? No, it is not required. I get a mix of parents coming for counseling where they sometimes I feel, they assume the role of Amitabh Bachchan from that movie Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum, where they say ki, "Ya to," right?
Yes.
But it's not supposed to be like that. You are supposed to be easygoing. You are a parent. Don't forget that. Okay. You can't become their best friend, right? You cannot say bro and you cannot say dude and get along with them. It is not required. Just let your children understand few key family rules you can have, right? Certain things you can have boundaries about, certain things you can have set patterns about, and you can make them realize the importance of having certain things like this. Like, sometimes it is so funny. I get parents saying that, oh, अभी आपने सब उसका एंगर आपने तो खत्म कर दिया, एडिक्शन खत्म कर दिया इंटरनेट का। अभी आप ना उसको सिखा दो कि क्या क्या करना है, इंजीनियर बनना है, डॉक्टर बनना है। I'm like, you cannot just do all these things. They need to understand what is their interest, how they can cope up with the stress that is outside, whether they even
Mm.
understand the meaning of the word stress. For them, if correct me if I'm wrong, all my esteemed panelists will also agree. Young kids nowadays use words like, oh, depressed, I'm so depressed. Oh, this gives me panic attack, as if it's like a very basic terminology.
Yeah,
To
yes.
understand the gravitas of,
Intensity of
right?
it, no, the terms.
Yeah, exactly. For them, it is a very easygoing. It's a very hyped up word,
Hmm.
right? And mental health has become like the cool thing to talk about without really understanding what it
Yes,
can do to one,
right.
right? So parents should really just let children explore, let children become extremely resilient to everything, be it success or be it failure. You
Mm-hmm.
can't just train them to accept failure. Not required. They have to be trained to achieve, understand success and react to success and respond to success in a very humble yet responsible way, right?
Right.
So let them explore things, let them understand things, let them figure out, okay, okay, this is what I want to do. They will stumble, they will fall. Let them get up on their own, because then only, nowadays it is so surprising. I get so many, as a career counselor, I get so many professionals who are coming to reassess their professional journey. They want to recalibrate. They are like, no, we were not aware of what our exact interests are. My
Mm-hmm.
passion is into HR, but I am into sales. So it is so important, because these things do matter, right? If you're used to, if your brain is supporting a certain professional journey for you, but you are stuck somewhere else, then obviously you're going to get frustrated. Obviously you're not going to be happy with the work environment. That is going to give rise to the flight, freeze, the 3 F's, which Dr.
Mm.
Nishta also mentioned. So
Yes.
can you see the cycle? Then it will give rise to so many physical challenges. Then it will give rise to your depression, not being happy, getting into addiction, getting into substance abuse, dependency, relationship abuse. So all of these things can be simply avoided, and by understanding, realizing how and when they should reassess their career journey as per their own psychometric analysis or basic counseling. And it can start as early as your 8th standard also. So for
Mm-hmm.
parents who are listening, or friends who are of various parents, please communicate that, let your children explore, let them understand how they can chart their own journey, and they can make it still better and beautiful. It doesn't need to be a high stress environment. It can be a very easygoing life ahead if they just understand their own expectations and understand their own limitations. That is the key uh, advice I would give as a counselor to all everybody who's part of this discussion. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tripti. Thanks so much for sharing that valuable perspective. I think that was really helpful, and I'm reminded of what you shared in the morning of a quote from Oscar Wilde: "Be yourself, because everyone else is
Yes,
already taken."
absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah.
We
Right.
all have a unique DNA, so why struggle to become someone else, you know? So we are all unique
Exactly.
in our own way.
Right. Right. Yeah. Um, so this is the last question that I would want to specifically target to Dr. Vinita. She being an employer, she's a partner of Shalom Life Care and Ashok and Ashokun Hospitals with her husband, Dr. Matthew. So, as an employer, Dr. Vinita, what would you say? How should organizations or um, employers and human resource, the HR managers? You've also been in the admin. You've been in the admin as well. So, what do you think? How can the stakeholders create a mentally healthy workplace? Yeah, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sharon. Thank you all for just sharing so much of, the wealth of information. So what we do as an organization is we keep talking about it. I think we keep talking and talking and talking so that everybody gets bored of the aspect of mental health. But we keep bombarding them with, sharing what exactly we want to keep, like just bringing about awareness. And that's the reason why we thought of having this as a panel discussion, because each one has got a wealth of information. And why not start at our own homes, at that is this is the where they spend maximum of their hours, in the workplace. And
Hmm.
so we keep talking about it. That's what we do. And Sharon has been my partner in crime, when we keep bombarding them with different activities to try to make them think about their mental health. We have a support team, that is a team which loves to listen with care. That's our motto. So, as much as we listen to the patients and their problems, we want to listen to the staff. So, we spend time with the staff, we engage, we ask them sometimes very personal questions. Sometimes they don't open up, it's fine. But we just give them, try to make an environment safe so that they can come and share their problems and what is it that they're facing, what are the stressors that they're facing in the workplace. And of course, some things that are at home also can be brought into the workplace. So we keep talking to them, and that's what we feel is very key to the healing process. Because all of us have, we all know, even those who are mental health workers here, we know that our own baggage, and unless we heal from those baggages, we can't give out. Like, so you can't give out from an empty cup. We need to fill ourselves. We need to heal ourselves, and it is a process. We don't reach a perfection before we can help somebody else. So we keep talking about it, and we keep the communication line open so that they can come and talk to us, having regular meetings and talking to our team members and counselors. Yeah, I think that's where we have what we have tried to do in our workplace. And there are quite a few of our team members who have joined this call today, so they can also probably share some things maybe later once we have the Q&A sessions, or there's just the sharing sessions. Yeah, I think that's what we do primarily. Yeah, and of course, right now we've also started up with a team called the Raahat team, where all our panelists are part of the team, and we have different specialities. We have a psychiatrist who can prescribe medicines, Dr. Nishta. Then we have Dhruvi, the psychologist, Trupti, who can help with the career and behavioral counseling, Sujata, and Jay Prakash also, who are family counselors, so they can help families, and Sharon is a psychotherapist. So this is the team that we felt is important because our community needs such kind of places where healing and wellness centers where the whole person is taken care of. It's not just about the physical aspect of the person, but the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, all aspects of a person, because that's what makes you the whole person. And that's what our main focus is on. So yeah, thank you all for joining, and thanks Sharon for that.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am, for sharing. I think the mandate is to create environments where mental health is openly talked about and the vulnerability is not stigmatized. So, if you see, even in Ashok, when the leaders themselves, are setting a precedent for teams to seek help when needed, because they themselves talk about their struggles and challenges, which keeps the platform open for them as well to feel comfortable to share about it. Yes. Thank you so much for sharing. Really grateful for all the valuable insights and the expertise that the panelists have shared. Um, Now we we keep the floor open for any questions that the participants would want to ask. So there are a few that I got, which I think yeah, I'll just read it out. So there's a question which says, what if a person is studying and working to support their family and doesn't have time for themselves? What do you suggest to do in this situation? So it's basically self-care that this person is asking about. Any of the panelists who would want to take this up?
Yeah, I would like to answer.
Yes, go ahead.
So, if the person is studying and working at the same time to support their family, uh, it is, I will say that it is the decision that they have made on their own. If that is the scenario, then they should be not be thinking about how I can make, why is it affecting me or how it is affecting me. Instead, they should focus on the fact that they are doing something which is not only adding to the family, but it is also adding knowledge to their own development, to their own growth. And if they focus on the positive aspect of this situation, it would help them become better and it would help them to grow further. Instead, if they keep on, if they go into the thought process that okay, I am the sacrificing person, I should be validated for it, I should be appreciated for it, they should become their own warrior, they should become their own champion, and they should feel extremely proud of the fact that they are doing something which is going to help them become far more responsible, far more lovable, and far more whole as a person. So if they focus on this positive aspect, I think it would make this journey of theirs far more easier and far more better, I feel.
Yeah. Thank you, Trupti. There's another question which asks, what should we do for reflection? I think Dhruvi has already mentioned a lot of things, and as I said in the beginning, we'll also continue to put resources about it and continue to speak about it. We'll have more sessions coming up about it. Yeah. Any more questions that the participants would want to ask? If you just want to unmute yourself and ask, so that is fine.
This is Pramod.
Yes, sir.
Thank you all. Very meaningfully, each one of you have explained, and we are really thankful to each one of you. My question is that, as a parent, children or child age, like he or she is in a 8 or 9 grade or 7 grade, that 9 grade, their mindset, or maybe they will not able to choose the correct path or the correct subject where they have to move. May they can go from easier, which is easier for them, but that will not be helpful for them in the future or for their career path. So can parent help them to take the subject or any path, but they are not happy. They are not happy. They say that parents are forcing us. How you will help us, ma'am, in this process? Whether it is will be forceful to the children, pressing children, or it is guiding them? Because I'm going
Okay,
through this
so
situation at present.
Yes, Trupti.
okay, so let me tell you, Mr. Pramod, you are not the only parent. Trust me. There are many parents who are going through this. So, what I would like to tell you is, see, there are two ways you can deal with this situation. One is, like I said, let the child express themselves, what subjects they would like to, they are finding easier to respond to, what subjects they are finding, quite easy to get about with. Okay. And the second thing is, if you can help them in understanding, okay, if you're liking, say, for example, a physics, a chem, a bio combination, then what are the different options in terms of career paths for you as a professional going ahead, right? So you have to give them an entire picture through either a conversation or through actual meetings of people in those particular professions. The other thing which I always recommend is children 8th, 9th, they do not understand what really works for them. Out of 100 students, there could be just 10 students who would be very clear in what they want to do in life ahead. So ideally for them at that instance, you should ask, you should recommend for them to take psychometric test. You have to make them understand the aptitude part of it, because your brain is designed basis that condition that has happened right from your childhood to think and to respond in a certain way. So if, for example, your child might be highly inclined towards artistics, but you may feel that no, he is very good, he or she is very good into science or the engineering or the medical or any other finance, any other part of it. Now, there is going to be a mismatch unless a report or a test shows what is the gradation that is given. So, even a child will understand, a parent will also understand, and then a synergy can be formed between the parent and the child so that they help each other to understand. Ki, okay, this is what I need, this is what I cannot concentrate on because this is not part of the way my brain is supporting me. So ideally, first is please take a psychometric test or an aptitude test. And second is have an open discussion ki, okay, this is what I feel as my child. I know what you are, how you are thinking. These are the subjects I feel that you can consider. Let the child also communicate the subjects that he or she likes. And then, there could be a proper discussion along with the help of a counselor if you wish to. But otherwise, this is the only way to go about it. If you keep on having a argument, a discussion, and finally use the parent card, it is not going to be of any benefit to anyone. So that's my suggestion to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
You seem to be really relieved by that answer.
I hope so. I really hope so. I've answered his question well and I've cleared his doubt.
Yes, yes, we are planning to have it, and we'll see what you have suggested. No, definitely.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
sir.
you for your
Thank you.
question. Sir. Yes. Anyone else has another question?
I think Dhruvi has raised her hand.
Yeah. Dhruvi?
Yes, I would just like to add what Trupti said to that. That sometimes also asking open-ended questions to your children or something as just sharing, like, hey, this seems interesting. Would you like to check it out? Like, keep it very open-ended. That also helps them, and you can also help. It will help you to understand what are they interested in. So that way also you can start a communication, because when we suggest them do this, do that, they tend to kind of rebel. So keeping it open-ended really helps, which I think even Trupti addressed. So I thought I'll just add on to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, yes, yes. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Anyone else? Of course, we've put up our website, social media platforms on the chat box. You can have a look onto those and follow us on Facebook, Instagram for more resources on mental health. And we are planning to have more sessions on awareness. So yeah, tune into the social media pages. Okay. So if there are not any more questions, I would just sum up the whole panel discussion. So this has been a really valuable conversation that we've had, and I think it's clear that from the conversation that supporting mental health at work requires a combination of efforts from the employee's perspective. What even Dhruvi shared about work-life balance, rather work-life integration, which needs to be there. And as as employers, having transparent and supportive leadership and the policies at organizations. So if you see there in currently that recently there have been organizations, the big companies which have come up with employee assistance programs and mental health leaves and a lot of other initiatives which which we are still yet to see how it's going to help, but of course a lot of things are changing in the organizations regarding mental health, which is a good thing to see. Those are baby steps the organizations are taking, the corporate sector is taking towards mental health of their employees uh, in light of the events that has happened recently, which is quite shocking. Yeah. And of course the work culture that needs to be changed, the shift in the mindset that has to come, where we see, working long hours is not exactly what makes a person look at as hardworking or something. And the shift has also gone from the salary package to the work culture, and supportive work culture is of more focus than the salary package, because if you're earning a high salary and still you're not at peace at work, then it doesn't make sense, right? So yeah, so thank you all for attending today's session, and let us continue to advocate for mental health in our workplaces, creating environments where every one of us can thrive. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope to keep in touch with you
Thank you
with
so
our
much.
upcoming sessions. Yes. Thank you
Yes.
so much to our panelists, Dr. Nishta, Dr. Vinita, Dhruvi, Sujata, and Trupti. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Sharon,
you.
Thank you
for
so much.
moderating the session. Yeah.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you. And thanks for everyone who had joined us. Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Look forward to more sessions like this.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.